Let's talk about setting. We've built our board and now you gotta throw holds on it. How do you do that? So in this video, I'm gonna try and point you in the right direction so you can get the most out of the wall that you have and the holds that you've got. There are a lot of things that you can do well, or a lot of things that can totally destroy your entire board, even if you have the right ingredients on the mats ready to go on. It can be really nerve-wracking putting holds on a completely blank wall. I've done it quite a few times now and I'm still sat there going, what if I put it in the wrong spot? But you just gotta make a start. So for me, my starting point is putting on the features. I've got these lovely new ones from Tilt. These are gonna be awesome. No texture on them, 2-pack paint. And then the classic old ones that I had on the old wall, the texture from Stax. Love these a lot. The concept is if you put the bigger ones on first, then you start kind of putting on your bigger holds, then your smaller ones, and it just means that you don't end up filling the board with all your crimps and then you chuck this on and there's nowhere for it to actually go. Not all of these volumes are going to go on the wall because I don't want to overwhelm the whole space, and they're also going to dictate where holds can end up going as well. Fun fact, that tooth is a fake, and whenever I got screws in there, it's like a magnety thing that happens. Feels weird. I like to get a nice even spread of them across the wall, and making sure as well that where I'm putting them, I've got holds in mind that could potentially go on there, and that they're going to be an asset to the board and not a hindrance. The tricky thing I find with putting on the features is that if they get too big, they cast a bit of a shadow. So if it's right in the middle here, it's sort of like, if you want to get around it without actually using it, it becomes quite a cumbersome thing to get over. When you compare it to something a little smaller, especially when you start to think like when holds get put onto it, this becomes quite a lot. Yeah, I think off to the side. I do really like it though. But once you've got that nice spread of the volumes around the place, I've then moved on to the bigger holds that I've got. So that's some of these black ones, the blue, pink, some of the bigger yellows. They work really well, and I just want to give them nice prime locations. So once I've got that nice even spread, then it's time to start moving on to some of my like really nice kind of mantelpiece holds. You're like, this is a special one and I want this in a prime location. So I've got a whole bunch of nice new wood ones from Block Cartel and Native holds, and I've got them in these like, this one here, it's just, it's so lovely. So I've got them spread out in the nice prime locations to just like make full use of how awesome they are. Jeez, the wind has picked up. Now, one thing that a lot of people will talk about when they're setting a wall is making sure that there's a nice easy jug run to the top. So a lot of people say, oh, you set a nice jug run here and then you set some crimps and then you set your sloper problem up through there, and then you know that you're always going to be able to get to the top of the wall. I don't advocate for that style of setting. For me, it's all about getting a nice even spread across the entire wall. So essentially I've got all of my holds spread out on the driveway, and I've got all my footers, all my slopes, jugs, crimps, and they're all there in their hold type kind of category. And then I just start grabbing things that are inspiring for me and that I want to start putting in some good locations. And as I'm throwing them on the wall, I'm thinking, how does this hold get used? Like, would you grab it with a Gaston? Could it be a side pull? Could it be underclean? And you're just kind of having a bit of a play around, not thinking too much about it, because you can definitely go into this downward spiral of putting on a hold, and it'll take like 15, 20, 45 minutes to put one hold on the wall, and that's very inefficient. But having said all that, this took 3 days, probably 20 odd hours between Amanda and I. It's fun, but you definitely just hit that point of just like, So basically what we're aiming for is having one of every sort of hold in an area. So if we jump over here and take like this little section, I've got a jug, I've got another kind of slopey jug, a sloper, a good crimp, bad crimp, good crimp, pinch, like there's underclean. We've got a little bit of everything all in one spot. And if you go round and try and aim for that, you will end up just having a jug run to the top, and you will end up having a nice crimp problem to the top. And it doesn't need to be set in colors or whatever else, because you've sprayed everything around and it works out really nicely most of the time. Once everything is set, I'm not locking that in. I'll definitely have a few different sessions on it. So I'll do my endurance session, I'll do some warm-ups, I'll do a hard boulder session, and a few of them, just to make sure that there's not like some gaps in the wall and you get on and you go, oh, hang on, there's not a jug there, or it's like only holds that are facing to the left or something like that, because it can and will happen. I think it's not quite there yet, which is not a surprise. There's always little tweaks that need to happen. There's a few spots where it's like, oh, maybe it'd be nice to have a couple of different types of holds in here, or just reallocate positions to different things. But that's just the nature of setting a wall like this, and it just takes a little bit of time to get it right before you lock it in and go, sweet, this is our set for the next 2 years or something. You do want to have a think about how the holds are going to get used and the sort of movements that you're going to be able to do off that hold. Depending on where the hold goes on the board, there are a few traps that you can fall into. The primary one is all the left-hand holds are all left-hand side pulls, and all the right-hand holds are right-hand side pulls. And it kind of sucks. Another pitfall that you can fall into when you're setting, if you're getting some of those bigger holds, like these or even the bigger features, is what I like to call the hold shadow. When you put these big holes on, you can't grab anything here. So you want to have a bit of a distance there. The steeper the board gets, the less of a shadow there's going to be there, because you've got like more angle to play with. Like you look at that and that's totally all good. But if this was a 20-degree wall, suddenly your arm's going to be dangling on there and it's just going to suck and not be an asset to your board. Yeah. Got a few really fun favorite holds on here. This little Block Cartel thing's rad. I've really enjoyed actually these rubber holds so far. Just little fiberglass jobbies. Like they're just awesome for a woody, I think, is just having some of those like key awesome holds. There's another one just down there. Yeah, again, that Block Cartel. And then these, like, I'm thinking of them as like a licorice all sort. These are native holds and they're just like, look at this. I almost don't want to put chalk on them. It's like getting a new chalk bag. I feel dirty putting chalk into a new chalk bag because it just feels so good. But no feet on woods, no standing on them. If you've got any more questions around setting, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to try and get back to you. Maybe it becomes an entire video in itself. And if you're enjoying it so far, I've made a cheat sheet down below that's going to cover everything and a little bit more about what I've spoken about in this video, so you can get yourself a nice, lovely set wall of your dreams. Don't be afraid when you're setting to move something that you've already put onto the wall. I've done this a few times and just like moved things around and just gave me more space, and you can just pick yourself up a little bit more room and suddenly it goes from 2 holds being there to 4 or 5. I'm a massive believer in density over distance. What I mean by this is, let's pretend you've got 100 holds in your collection and you've got a wall that's 3 meters wide by 3.3 meters high. Those 100 holds are going to get really spread out across the entire wall, and if you're holding on to this hold, there's only a handful of moves that you can really do off it. And then if you're trying to set something of a particular difficulty, suddenly you can't grab that jug or that jug and you're going to go just to that edge. And then your problems all start being pretty similar. Whereas if all of those holds come in and there's maybe half as much distance between them, you're not going to be using the entire board, granted, but you've got way more options and way more diversity in the movement that you can be doing. So if you are just building out your hold collection at the moment, and it's just a constantly evolving thing, opt for making your board more dense with the holds rather than making it bigger. I believe that it'll give you way more options, way more diversity, and it'll be way more fun than just spreading everything out. Unless spreading everything out and you're not really enjoying the climbing on your wall makes you buy more holds faster. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Ultimately, I want to get this board on the Stoked app, so I've got that full library of problems and just go back. It's a really good app. I'm not sponsored, I'm paying for it, like, it's awesome. But now that it is all done, you better believe there's gonna be some board froth videos coming your way. One of my favorite sneaky setting techniques on the Stoked app is in this video right here, and if you want more climbing froth, obviously right there. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.